What's good, everybody? So, I got a request from my big brother to do a video about when I used to live in Vegas. So, I briefly explained a little bit about Vegas when I was doing a video on why I joined the military, how I joined the military, whatever. So, I'll just go through it real quick again, and then we'll get to some of the events that took place in Vegas. So basically, I got tired of California. I got tired of my mom hounding me about getting a job and shit like that. So I come up with the smart decision to just up and move to Vegas. Sold my radio in my car for like $20 or something like that to one of the mechanics at my homeboy Chris's shop, and we, I drove my car, like an '89 Civic, and my homeboy Chris followed me up to Vegas. I stayed one night at his girlfriend's mother's house, and after that I was on my own. So here we are in Vegas. It's either late 2004 or early 2005. I can't really remember the month because it's been a while, but here I am in Vegas, man, and I got about $50 or $60 to my name. I got a busted ass vehicle, um, hardly any clothes, no food, and I'm about to start my new life. So one of the first things I did was I found out where one of my homeboys lived that did almost the same thing as me, just up left California and went to Vegas. I found out where his ass lived, and I went over to his house and see if I could stay with him for a while. Immediately he shut me down. Was like, nah, nigga, you can't stay with me. Like, I got my wife and my kids here. I'm living in a small ass apartment as it is, like, and they don't know you that well. So I'm sorry, bro, but you got to go somewhere else. So I end up living on the street for a while. About 2 months I was on the streets. Um, During that time, like I said, I explained a lot of this already in one of my other videos. But during that time, man, I man, like I said, I was living on the street, and I was running out of money because I was smoking cigarettes, and I'm trying to eat food and shit, and put a little bit of gas in my car. Gas wasn't too expensive then; it was still under $2. So I can get by with just putting $10 in my tank and then be cool. Uh, so as I'm driving around, I find this temp agency, and I apply to the temp agency, but you needed a social security card, which I didn't have. So I had to shoot down to the social security office, um, and try and apply for another card. But I didn't have a home address, so the temp agency allowed me to use that address as my home address for them to send the card, and then they could put me to work after that. So I was doing little bullshit jobs, man, mostly construction here and there, and it was like just enough for me to um, just get by, man. Cause like I said, I'm living on the fucking streets, dude, and I was making like maybe $50 a day at most. And that was if I was able to work, like if they needed people. So I would work. I worked like fucking. What did I do, man? One place, it was unloading toilets, like brand new toilets, unloading them and loading them onto semi trucks or whatever. And another job I did, like I said, it was mainly construction, man. Mainly just fucking construction, little bullshit. Like I said, like $50 a day, and you got paid every day. So you'd have to hurry up and get back to the temp agency by like, it was like 6 o'clock, and then you get your check. And then when I got my check, I would go over to this little liquor store, and they would cash it for like $2. So then I would go after that, and get me 2 tacos from Taco Bell, and go find somewhere for me to sleep for the night. For a while, I was sleeping like right behind the temp agency, but then they have like security that goes around. And one night, one of the security ladies hit me up. Was like she's knocking on my window because I was knocked out, and she's like, "Hey, you can't sleep here." And I'm like, "All right, I'm sorry." And she said, "You got somewhere to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got somewhere to go. I was just resting my eyes because I was tired." And she was looking at me like, "Yeah, good. I know you ain't got no fucking place to go." But yeah, then that went on. Like I said, that went on for about 2 months, man. And it got to the point where I was like fucking desperate. I was like super desperate because it wasn't work every single day. Sometimes the temp agency, they didn't need nobody. You know what I mean? So uh, I would just sit around and hope. You know what I mean? Just hope that something would come up. I would sit in that temp agency all day waiting for somebody to need somebody to work, and because I didn't have the gas to just be driving around like that. Because you know what I'm saying, I'm broke. Like I only had at most $50 in my pocket at a time. Um, and there was one time where I went a whole week without work, man, and then I had like a bright idea at the time. I had like a Macy's card, and so I would use my Macy's card to go and buy like a watch or something because I had like a $300 limit on it. I'd buy a watch. I remember, I think the watches that were popular back then were, I think they were Echo watches. I'd buy an Echo watch for like $120 or something, and I would go straight to the pawn shop and pawn it off and get my little fucking $18 for it. You know what I mean? So I was doing shit like that just to get by, man. And one time I was like on E, and like the temp agency, like they set me up with a job to work for the day, but they needed me to drive way out there and then fucking drive back. And it was like, I don't know if you know about Vegas, but if you're on the 15 freeway, it was around exit 52. That's pretty damn far, dude. That's pretty damn far. It's like by the canneries and all that shit. So I was up there. I was way up there. And the temp agency where I worked at, it was like on like almost by Las Vegas Boulevard. So it was like the strip. So that's fucking far, dude. It was real far. And I ran out of gas on the way back. And like I only had like 30 minutes to get to the fucking temp agency, or I wasn't gonna get paid. And I ran out of gas right at the fucking gas station. And I'm outside like asking people for change. They're just looking at me like get away from me, nigga. Like ill. Like get the fuck away from me. So I dealt with that, man. So I know what it feels like to ask people for change and beg for change and money just to get by. But that day, some lady, she told me like, nah, I don't got no change. And then she went in, and then she came back out, and she got in her car, and when she was about to leave, and then I guess she felt bad for lying to me. So then she like gave me like all the money in her ashtray, and it ended up being like $3 or something like that. So I put that in my tank, and I made it to the temp agency with like 5 minutes to spare, and got my check, cashed it, and everything was all good. But it was like the day after that. The day after that, man, there was a guy that I would work with almost every day at that agency when we were working. He was an older cat. He was like maybe 40 something. And at the time, I was what, 19? I was like almost 20 at the time. And he would always talk to me and shit, and he would like give me like one of his sandwiches and stuff like that. And he was like, "Hey man, like you go to church?" I'm like, "Yeah, not anymore, but I used to. I was brought up in the church and stuff." And he was like, "Well, we got, my brother's a pastor on the church across the street, and they own those apartments that are right across the street as well. I can probably get you a place to stay, because I mean, I know you're living in your car right now. And I mean, I'm not even gonna ask you if you are, because I know you're gonna lie to me. So I know you're living in your car. I can get you a place. We can go and talk to him today after work." So I'm like, "Shit, hell yeah, get me up out of the streets and shit." Like, hell yeah. I'm like, "All right, cool, I'm down." So we go and we do our job. We come back, and he walks me over. And then, like I said, it was right across the street. He walks me over. I meet like the little youth pastor or whatever that was in charge of the little program that they were running, and he walks me to the church first and lets me know that, hey, everybody, we're gonna, the only condition for you staying here is that you have to go to church. You know, every Sunday and every Wednesday you got to go to church. So I'm like, all right, that's no problem. So then he walks me to one of the apartments that I'm gonna be staying in, and it was like 4 people living up in there. It was like 2 people, no, 3 people in the living room, counting me, and then there was it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and there was 2 people living in each of those bedrooms. So there was what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in one little ass fucking apartment. And he was like, "Are you hungry, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm real hungry." And like it was like dirty as shit in there, dude. It was like a dirty ass mattress on I guess it was my mattress, a dirty ass stained fucking cum stained mattress on the ground and shit. And we walked to the kitchen, and opened the fridge, and there was like roaches running around, and there was no food in there. But then he opened the freezer, and there was like a tub of ice cream, like somebody had just bought it, and he was like, "Yeah, I guess they don't have no food in here, and but they got some ice cream. I mean, you eat that." And he's like, "When's the last time you had a shower?" And it had been a minute, so uh, I was like, "It's been a while." And he's like, "You can take a shower right there, and I'll take you down to wash your clothes, later on." I'm like, "All right." Uh, so I only had like a little ass sliver of fucking soap, so I used that to wash my fucking ass. Came out, and then I was just started talking with the guys. 'Cause like I said, at the time I smoked cigarettes, so I would go outside on the little right outside the door and smoke cigarettes and talk to the guys and everything. And so I was living there. I was living there for almost a month, man, almost a month, and then I ended up getting a job doing construction, delivering the windows and stuff. I think I talked about it in one of my last videos. So I got this job doing construction. I got it through the temp agency, and apparently, what I didn't know about this temp agency and the church and apartments that were right across the street from it, they were like in like cahoots with each other. Because a lot of the people that worked there at that temp agency lived in those apartments, and I didn't know that, but I found out real quick because, uh, like I said, I got this job through the temp agency. They set me up with the construction job delivering windows, and they liked the dude. He liked the way I worked. He's like, "Hey man, how about we just hire you on permanently? Like, so you ain't got to work through the temp agency." And I was like, he's like, "You already got the job. You just got to come back, fill out the application. That's it." I'm like, "All right, bet, hell yeah." So I go back, I fill out the application, and then I stopped fucking with that temp agency, and I just start working for them. So I'm working for them, uh, like I said, for about a month, and the youth pastor comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, you gotta go, you gotta go." And I'm like, "Why? Like why I gotta leave?" And he's like, uh, I was like, I've been going to church and everything," and he's like, "Well, you ain't put no money on your books, have you?" And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, on my books, like, nigga, we ain't in fucking prison, like we ain't in jail, nigga, like what the fuck you talking about, cuz? And he's like, have you put any money towards your books?" And I'm just looking at him confused, and then I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, have you given anybody any money for you to stay here?" And I'm like, "No, like you guys said the only condition was that I go to church, and I've been doing that. I've been going Sunday and Wednesday." And he was like, I can get you fired from that little job that you got." And I'm like, "Wow, dude, like this is supposed to be the church. This is supposed to be a Christian, good Christian place to be. And like, look how you treating me, man." He's like, "You know what? I don't even know why I'm arguing with you anymore. Just get out." So I'm like, "Wow, dude." So the nigga threw me out, cuz the nigga threw me out, man. And then so he throws me out or whatever, and boom, I'm homeless again. So at this point, I hadn't even gotten my first check yet from that other place, because like like when you start a new job, you got to go through the 2 weeks or sometimes it's 3 weeks until you get your first check. And for me, it was that 3 weeks. Like I was gonna get paid like the very next week after this motherfucker kicked my ass out. So, uh, so then I drive. The only thing I know how to do or know to do is drive to my job, my new job, and just sleep in the fucking parking lot because I ain't got the gas to be roaming around doing the fucking most looking for a place to sleep. So that's what I do. And I'm doing that and working for about another week or so. I get paid and everything, and then I fuck up, and that's when uh, the HR lady catches me asleep in the parking lot, right in front of the building, and she asks me. She walks up to my car and knocks on the window, and she's like, "Hey, you been sleeping here all night?" And of course I lied to her and said, "No, no, I just got here early." And then she's like, "Okay." And then I'm waiting for my boss to get there and everything and give us our assignments for the day. And then he's giving us all of our assignments and stuff. And he's like, "All right, yeah, and you, Daryl, you need to go and speak to, what's her name after work." And I'm like, "Fuck, man, I'm about to get fired like a motherfucker." And so then I do my job for the day, thinking about the shit all damn day, stressing out, seeing what's gonna happen. And then after work, I meet with her, and then she asked me, if I'm homeless and stuff like that. And then I just, I lied to her first, and then she's like, "It's okay, like, you're not in trouble, but I was just gonna offer you a place to stay with me and my husband. Um, we live down on, Sahara, and you ain't gonna have nothing to worry about. You can shower and stuff, and we'll feed you, and you have a job already." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'm living with her for about another month or so, and then my job that I'm working for ends up having layoffs, like cutbacks or whatever. So I'm the newest nigga there. So of course they cut my ass. And right as they cut me, then she came to me and was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I can't let you live here no more. Like you gotta go." So I'm like, "Fuck, man." It's like one thing. If it ain't one thing, it's another. And then she's like, "Well, what I can do for you though is, my sister lives out here too, and I can have her. I can have you stay with her for a while." So I stayed with her for about a week, and she kicked my ass out. Like I wasn't doing nothing, man. Like I would leave when she left in the morning to go to work, and I would get back after she had already gotten home. So I just wouldn't be up in her house chilling all day. You know what I mean? Not doing shit. So she kicked me out after about a week, and then that's when I got to thinking like, what the fuck am I gonna do? This and that with my life, and then that's when I started to drive around and look for a recruiter because I was gonna join the freaking military. Because at the rate I was going, man, I was gonna fucking die, dude. Like just hopping from place to place and job to job, and I was getting more and more depressed, dude. I was getting more and more depressed. Like just, I would just sit there in my car and just fucking cry, and like I'm like thinking like I'm a fucking idiot. Why did I do this shit? Why did I fucking come out here? Like I'm a fucking moron, dude. Like, fuck. Like, so I just decided to join the fucking military, and it was probably the best and the worst thing that I ever did because of where I'm at in life right now. So take that how you want to take it. And yeah, that's the story of me living in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for about 4 months or so until I enlisted in the military, and the rest is history. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of my life. Let me know what else you guys want to hear. You can keep asking me questions on Instagram, and I'll keep answering them the best I can. All right, I'll holler at you guys later.